Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very touchy subject. Every one of you knows that for a long time now, what we see on TV, what we see domestically, what we see internationally, in terms of the terror plots and various other things, have been manufactured to some degree or another. Now, I'm calling these domestic manufactured combatant programs, but really any number of words can be substituted. And I believe almost absolutely that your local precincts, along with your federal and your state guys, have lists of people who are being groomed for these programs that are being basically weeded out, being told they're not going to be, the normal people in society, and they're being basically groomed to be these mass casualty gunmen and various groups like that. I think that they actually start them and start these programs inside indoctrination centers. I think they target the ones they know won't go with the programming. And I think one act after another, and they just start turning these guys. They'll call it bullying and all this other stuff, but I think for the most part, many of these guys have been groomed for these mass casualty scenarios from early ages, and most of the time, they haven't even been aware of it. I've often thought that my name and my 11-year-old nephew's now is on some kind of local shooter list where we've been targeted for, well, me basically past 20 years for some kind of program or another, him the last 3 or 4 years. He was the one that I told you guys about in that had the ordeal with Clarenceville about a month or two back. They expelled him for the remaining part of the year, which was better part of 7 days, uh, for things that basically wasn't his fault. And one of the ideas with that is that the teacher, female in nature, put her hands on the student, him, and this was just a long train of abuses. One of the other ones was that he had hurt his leg. I think I had brought this up inside the same school, and his leg was swollen. They made him walk on it the entire day, and he almost had to go in for surgery because he had hurt his leg in school, and they didn't call the ambulance and stuff like they should have. And basically, they just tried to drone up a manufactured scenario where he'd flip out and do something stupid. And I've told you about my incidents with Clarenceville in the past and my issues with Madonna University and how I believe I'm on some kind of manufactured combatant program where basically at some point or another I'm going to answer my phone or another. It's going to put through something, and then I'm going to, flip out and go do whatever they end up saying to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't believe that these programs are only in the United States. I believe they're in the basically, I'm going to go out on a limb and say all major countries with a nationalized banking program. I think they're all involved in it. I think they start manufacturing these candidates and these operatives at a very early age. I'm going to say almost beginning middle school. And they allow these new candidates to be droned and droned and droned until they pop at or about college age. Um, I believe that your local police precincts, federal agencies, and others have lists of these people that are on special program lists, and that they're basically grooming them to later on go out and do this stuff. And I believe they know. I believe they're being paid to watch these people and to basically just allow things to go their course. And I think it's time we start going to these guys, putting lists of these people together that we believe are on these lists, and demand that they turn over information regarding these programs and basically arrest those that are in circles and in the know that are just allowing this stuff to happen. Because I think that it goes beyond the indoctrination centers, but that's kind of where I'm pinpointing it at, that they're finding these persons with certain traits, whether it be faulty backgrounds or this or that, and they're basically just grooming them. And I think that what happens is you can almost pinpoint these programs in the juvenile system and in the general school systems, but the minute these persons are graduated from the general school systems, I believe that all of this is basically whitewashed. So any remnants of any program operativization would actually be null and void, except for on their whatever their program ID numbers are and the main systems. I'm sorry, I do believe it is this manufactured. Going back to how my fiance was basically taken from me, how she was told by the U.S. Navy when she went in to join the military, uh, all the stuff she was told and how she was told to break all ties with me and everything. At that point, I almost believe that she was told about this or something similar. Now, I don't think I have any reason to flip out or anything like that, but I do believe that we all need to get together at some point, go to our local precincts, go to all the major party groups, and say, we want these lists of your manufactured shooters. We want these people, we want the ones that are being trained right now, and we want the lists of those that have been trained in the past. We want that list, and we're not leaving this office until we get them. And I think if we push them hard enough, I think sooner or later they have to come out with that list. And I think that there are local lists, I think there are federal lists, I think there are state lists. And I think this is so on every domestic level. My mother was actually the one who kind of brought this to me. And I kind of talked with her the other day. I said, all this stuff going on in the world, all these terrorists and all these shooters and stuff. I don't think it's all about religion or all about this and all about that. I said, I think they pinpoint people, they stress them out to where they pop. And then she says, yeah, like your nephew, look at what they're doing to him. And then basically that's when it hit me. Holy shit. Two people in one family are on a local domestic manufactured combatant list. You know, I think this is sick. And I know that that's not what they're calling it. And I know when you try to go get the information in court, they're going to laugh at you. Because whatever they got on the list, whatever program they're getting paid to keep quiet about, the cops already know. The federal agencies already know. The top dogs know that it's a government program, and the ones on the ground believe beyond any reasonable doubt that these are homegrown terrorists and this and that these are not manufactured individuals. But when my fiance was taken from me, I almost believed that at that point she was told more than I've ever been told, and I think I'm on the cusp of finding out exactly what's going on. And just like they tried to whitewash all this stuff when I got out of general school, I think they're pretty much getting ready to whitewash the ideas in the background that I and others I know might be on these lists, among others. And I think many people are on these lists. I don't think it's just the general people you would expect. And I think people are being groomed, and I think sooner or later they're just expecting them to pop. And that's the reason they don't arrest them. That's the reason they don't do this or do that. And I believe your precincts have lists of these people that they've been grooming for years, and I think they're told, sit back, watch, wait for them to pop, go in and kill them. Or go in and do this or go in and do that. And they're being paid by the feds to basically just sit around and wait. Or the feds are sitting on these cases and waiting. And this is all coming from the Rothschild national banks. And I guarantee you this is not happening in any country that does not have a Rothschild bank. And I would like to actually start programs where we start finding the inner details of these domestic manufactured lists and try to find the groups involved specifically, try to root them back to the government level and the actual physical lists of people. and definitely, start arresting these cops and these people who are one, allowing this, and two, that have absolute knowledge that these things exist. And this way we take back our country one way or another. And it doesn't matter just in the U.S. or Canada or Germany. It's all the major national banking nations, I imagine. All the central banking nations that probably do have a Rothschild bank. And I guarantee you that this is happening in your area with people you know, probably, or people that your families go to school with or go to work with. And I think it's time that we put this on paper, that these things are real, that these lists of people have been manufactured, and that we want absolute results, and we want those lists, and we want those programs shut down, and we want those people arrested who are running those programs. And if not, well, guess what? We're going to find the telltale signs of these programs, and we're going to shut them down if the cops aren't. And if they intervene, well, then we place them under arrest. Because I truly believe these programs and these lists of people exist. And I wanted to bring this to you because when my mother actually came to me and said that she believes that, my nephew is kind of on a grooming list, I kind of go, holy shit, you're right. And I just listened to all the things that have happened to him in like the last, I don't know, last year and a half in this area. And I truly believe that these schools have contracts with the federal government to basically weed out the stressors and to manufacture these creations and these basically domestic combatants, these shooters, these bombers and stuff. And they might not look at it as the same thing, but the programs that exist in the federal level definitely have lists of these people that they're manufacturing and that they're watching. That's why they're not going after and arresting and de-escalating the situation, because they know that these are manufactured, and they know that the law enforcement are basically creating it or aiding it and or watching it. And they might not have a choice. They might even try to stop it. And their federal counterparts and those higher up go, no, you can't do that. This is a federal program. You cannot mess with that. And then, basically the MK Ultra stuff plus is what we see now. But I truly believe that our local officials have these lists of these people. And I think it's time we start finding those lists and turn it over, or not turn it over, but basically get these lists and get it back to the government lists of the programs that they're associated with. And we need to start de-escalating these situations, because our government isn't going to do it because they're paid to stop gun control and all this other shit. That is just manufactured bullshit. You want to know how manufactured that bullshit is? Here it is, folks. The banks own the major gun companies. If they wanted to stop civilians from owning firearms in an hour, they would write all their investors, they'd write all their people, and they'd say, we are no longer going to sell to anyone who is not in police, military, and or civilian security roles. And we wouldn't be able to own guns in like 24 hours. It wouldn't be about a Second Amendment right. It wouldn't be about any of this other stuff. They would be able to shut it down and be done, and then they'd be able to say something like, okay, those who are currently not licensed police officers, not in the military, and not in, civilian security roles, etc., can no longer own firearms. Why? National security, and be done. I know that the NRA and everybody would go apeshit crazy, but that's how quickly they could do it if they really wanted to push the button tomorrow, and they're not doing it. And so that's just an excuse, just like religion and all this other shit is an excuse to basically manufacture these combatant programs all around the world. And I think it's time we start telling these precincts and these federal groups, we want the lists of these people. We want these programs shut down. We know you're running it in the schools. We know you're running it in the colleges. We know. And we're here to stop it. If you can't stop it, you will resign. And I honestly, I would start taking these people to court and say that you're basically drumming up domestic manufactured combatants, whether knowingly or unknowingly, whether you're being paid to or not, and then take that to court. And when that gets on their their permanent record, that they're not only just allowing bullying and stuff, but they're actually participating in some kind of high level domestic manufactured combatant program, that's going to hit on some high levels, and then those people are going to get into some serious shit too. You're probably going to end up dead, but at this point, if you know about this shit, you're probably on a watch list, probably going to end up dead at one point or another anyway. So I wanted to bring this to you because this was a real revelation for my family, and I truly believe these lists exist, and I truly believe that I myself am almost on the cusp of getting out of my situation, and I believe we've caught my nephew's programming at a point where we can now control the outcome. So I think at this point we need to start going to these precincts, sitting in their office and telling them we want the lists and we want the programs. We're not leaving your office until you either resign or turn over these facts. And if you resign, we want those lists. We want the programs in the background. You are not going to leave this office until we get them or we find out someone who can get them. Thank you.